Okay, kids, I'm going to tell you a story about my life and the history in it. The year is 1969, the age of the disco, the place my parents met.
Hey, girl, you digging this disco?
Totally, it's so far out.
My parents went to the disco to let off steam and get rid of their problems like any other young adult. Little did they know, a new problem was to soon arrive.
I'm so glad we have this new microwave. It makes my life so easy. Now I can make dinners that would take me hours in just seconds.
At that time, microwaves were the new hit item because of the cheaper price, but there were many safety concerns that included the microwave catching on fire or the thought that the radiation would kill them.
Candy, honey, in honor of your 10th birthday, I've made you this delicious and nutritious meal.
Thanks. Can we change the channel? It's kind of boring.
I didn't realize this at the time, but the hockey game, now known as the 1980 Miracle on Ice, is an important event of the Cold War. It symbolized the defeation of the Soviet Union for all Americans. There were many things that happened in the 9 years between the Miracle on Ice and when the Berlin Wall fell, but we'll cover that next week. For now, we'll talk about the destruction of the Berlin Wall and the end of the Cold War. I was 19 years old when the wall came down. It was 1989 and I was a freshman in college, sitting in my current events class when my professor started talking about what was happening in Berlin.
Right now marks an important historical event. The Berlin Wall is being destroyed, and by the Germans occupying East and West Berlin. This event will be known as a large symbol signifying the end of the Cold War. Now, the end of the Cold War means communism has started to fall in Eastern Europe. The American government will most likely repair relations and spread the principles of democracy throughout Eastern Europe. Now, any questions?
I was sitting in my dorm room studying when something I have never seen before showed up on my TV. Desert Storm was the first war televised. Iraq took over Kuwait because they thought Kuwait was stealing oil that belonged to them, and they also thought that they were selling oil at lower prices in order to hurt Iraq's economy. American troops were sent to Saudi Arabia because they were afraid that Iraq would take over the country in order to have half of the world's oil. America then bombed Iraq. This event is known as Desert Storm, and it was a very short war. 2 years later, I was at the new coffee shop a couple blocks away from the World Trade Center worrying about my student loans when all of a sudden I heard a loud noise. That loud noise that I heard was a 2,000-pound bomb that was meant to explode in the parking garage of the north building of the World Trade Center in hopes of it crashing into the south building. Kind of like a sick and twisted game of dominoes. Over 1,000 people were injured. About a year later, a friend and I were watching the New York Knicks versus the Houston Rockets in Game 5 of the 1994 NBA Finals.
So who do you think is going to win the NBA Finals this year?
Obviously the Knicks, my hometown. Come on.
Really? The Knicks?
Yeah.
What happened in the TV?
I don't know.
The NBA final game was interrupted because the LA police chased a white Bronco that had O.J. Simpson in it. It was one of the most watched car chases in history. O.J. Simpson was suspected for the murder of his ex-wife and a waiter. They could never find enough evidence against him. Therefore, he was deemed not guilty. This is the last event for the day. 7 years after O.J. Simpson, I was in my 6th year of teaching when another teacher barged into my classroom and told me to turn on the TV.
Okay, class, that's all we have today. Please pack up your bags and do your homework tonight.
Turn on the TV.
What? What happened?
Just turn on the TV.
Okay, on it.
September 11th, 2001. The World Trade Center was attacked by the Muslim extremist group Al-Qaeda. They had hijacked 4 planes, with one hitting the North Tower, one hitting the South Tower, and the third plane hitting the Pentagon. The fourth plane crashed into a field in Pennsylvania. Almost 3,000 were killed and 6,000 injured, and as a result, America was on edge and security increased greatly, especially at airports. This event also sparked the War on Terror and will always be a sad memory to Americans. Okay, class. These have been the historical events that have highlighted my life so far. Well, that was the bell. See you all tomorrow.